Oh, I'm so stoked for Advance Wars, man. You don't even know.
Okay, I might just let you guys let loose on the E3 things.
Did everything about Nintendo E3. I'm super stoked for. WarioWare.
Why don't you just let us
Party?
let loose?
Oh my god.
Noisy Pixel.
Welcome back, folks, to the Noisy Pixel podcast for June 22nd, 2021. This is the podcast brought to you by noisypixel.net, where we talk about video game news and video games. I'm your host, Arthur, joined by Azario, the man behind Noisy Pixel. How are you today, sir?
I wouldn't consider myself the man behind Noisy Pixel. Noisy Pixel is a collective of gamers who deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I look at the byline and I see your name quite frequently. So I think everyone else does too.
It's funny. We used to, on our videos, we say the same thing at the end of our videos, but we used to not do it on like the first, like if you go way back to the first like 10, 20 videos.
It's pretty inconsistent, yeah.
Yeah. But Brian said it one time in like his like second review, he just did this outro and I was like,
Caught on, man.
I was like, fuck, that sounds really good. And then from then on, we've just been doing this one outro. And I say the same thing, but I always tell everyone else, you could say whatever you want. I don't care what I just say an outro, but they typically follow my stupid little thing at the end there.
Hey, consistency is important, Azario.
That's what I hope. That's what I hope.
We're learning that more.
So that
and
was
more.
a Brianism.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things stem from
One
that.
contribution.
He's made several. Don't let him.
There's six previews and that one byline. That's me.
We can tell when Brian is not making contributions because he is rejoining the podcast this week after missing last week. Welcome back,
I didn't
Brian.
die, in case people were wondering. It's fine.
And Ian, the fourth person here, was also not picking you up from the hospital like I was kidding.
Yeah, I saw the ambulance emoji in the chat.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
We got some stuff to talk about. We were kind of cynical about E3 last week. Apparently, Brian is bringing all the optimism to us. And he somehow willed Nintendo to sort of steal the show.
He rain danced his little dance.
That's where I went last podcast. I was in my backyard doing my little Nintendo dance in a Kirby outfit. You know, just like, please.
give us some announcements. We need a successful E3 this
Not
year.
just remakes, please.
Kirby, the one wasn't represented, I don't think, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't even announce Mother 3.
That's the curse of the rain dance.
Nothing actually we said was announced, and yet I'm still excited.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty stoked still.
Yeah,
I think we did mention that the sequel for Breath of the Wild would be referenced.
That was on the list.
Do you guys want to start there? There's probably the least amount to say that with that one, just because I feel like most people kind of know what that game is going to be. It's going to be more Breath of the Wild, but is there
That's all we
anything
can ask for, you know?
I'm looking for more Zelda in that one.
Yeah.
those voiceover lines really did it for you. You're like, I just want more of this.
My shit.
I just want more like wacky stuff because I know the first Breath of the Wild, people were figuring out like wacky things to do to beat the game. I want more of that.
2 hours and stuff.
I think that really opened the game up more than just being the open world like Zelda game it is. Being able to mess around with the mechanics and do all that crazy stuff. I'm very excited to see what people do to break that game.
There's that weird drip mechanic, where he goes through like the ground. And so I'm wondering if it's going to be a lot more. They had things in the sky, so a lot of scaling things, like Shadow of the Colossus kind of.
They also had like the time rewindy stuff, and I was just thinking the whole time watching that trailer, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't get my Prince of Persia, but this is pretty much close to the next best thing. I'm gonna just play Breath of the Wild too.
I'm wondering if they like had this in mind when developing the game to not use all of these mechanics, because there's a lot of different things you can do in Breath of the Wild with like the what is it, psychosis or what is it called?
There's like the time thing.
Yeah,
is that
what
the
is
physics one?
What are they called though? What are the moves called?
There's magnesis. There's
all those sisses. All those sisses.
I would refer to them as yellow, red, and blue.
Just like do the magnet on this and then make you fly.
Yeah, do the yellow. Take the yellow one out.
I'm just curious to know if they limited themselves on creating an abundance of these because they knew that they were going to do a sequel, so they needed more. Because I would assume that they'd do the usual strip Link of all his powers right in the beginning, and you kind of just start brand new. But it doesn't look like they're doing that here.
Yeah, they're just giving him more mechanics on top of what you already got. It looks like.
I guess we can also say that this is like one of the first Zelda sequels since Zelda 2. Is that correct?
We have Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Majora's Mask is
a
the
portion
sequel.
of the internet has just
gotten
I feel like this feels more like a
just
direct,
so people don't freak out and
sequel,
people
though.
don't write any comments. Yeah, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. I guess those were technically sequels, and yeah. So,
but this is one that's like explicitly like to Breath of the Wild,
But there is no Zelda 3
yet.
We're still waiting on the third Zelda. To your point on the abilities and stuff, I played Breath of the Wild and liked it a lot, but the thing that made me sort of like it more was in the post-release when the developers were talking more about their whole design philosophy and how they want to recreate the sense of exploration from Link to the Past. So that makes me think that they are really into that sandbox type of approach to design. They want to give you all the stuff that you had already and then just give you more stuff to sort of experiment. And we also know that this sequel started out as an expansion of some kind, like a DLC that you could download. But they said that they just came up with too much, so they decided to make a whole new game in general. So I think it would make sense if you kept all your stuff.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if they gave him a voice. Give Link a voice.
I don't know if I'd like it.
I don't know if I'd like it either. I feel like it'd be really jarring for me.
I've gotten so lazy with gaming, guys, that I don't even want to read anymore. I just want to be read to constantly.
That Zelda VO really did it for you. I mean,
I don't want to
universally panned.
I love
Zelda
the animated series. So
I'm talking Breath of the Wild VO for Zelda.
I wasn't listeking to her. I was just looking at her.
What does Link sound like in your mind?
I barely heard her voice, Arthur. What are you joking?
Yeah, what does Link sound like to you, Azario?
Yeah, in your head.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Yeah, just sassy, annoying,
really obnoxious. Just like a real
It's probably best that they just keep him.
Maybe you shouldn't talk.
You're interrupting Ian's point, Azario. What were you saying?
Oh no, it's I'm fine with people talking at Link because that seems like all the characters want to do is talk at you, and that avatar for the character, I think that's enough because really you don't have to know a whole lot of what's going through Link's head. He's just cooking and doing running around without his shirt on. It's like you don't need much dialogue, I don't think, from him. It's more the player's avatar. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I always feel like he's one of those reluctant heroes. So things kind of just, the world just tells him to do stuff. He's like, okay, save the world. Yeah, all right, sure.
I don't have anything else going on.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this, sure.
Yeah. Never wants to wake up.
Yeah, he doesn't say no. He's a yes man. That's that.
He's just saved the world by saying yes to everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a hero by circumstance sort of situation.
Well, Link not the only silent protagonist in Nintendo's lineup, and I think one of the bigger surprises was this announcement of Metroid Dread, which I guess was referred to as Metroid 5.
Looks so good.
Which is likely going to come out before Metroid Prime 4, right?
Yeah, it's the last, it's the fifth 2D and the conclusion of that series, which is pretty interesting. Because you got fusion, and if you look at the gameplay, it has that kind of purplish glow that Fusion had on the Game Boy Advance. And I'm really stoked that they stuck to that color palette while making it this 3D 2.5D game. Because it's always scary for me because I don't like that Unreal shiny look that all the indie games kind of borrow now because they're all made in the same engine. But It looks really good.
It looks really good.
Yeah,
Looks
like
really good.
Shadow Complex-esque. I'm sure there's a more recent example to point to, maybe like Ori or something. But just because like the industrial look, I was thinking of Shadow Complex specifically.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it being $60?
I mean, I have no problem with that personally because
if it's
there are
good.
other, exactly. As long as it's good, there are other side scroller Nintendo products I've picked up for $60, like Yoshi. It's I almost feel like sometimes the people that are making those arguments maybe haven't played a Metroid game, but they played a Metroidvania. And I don't know. It's I get the argument, but at the same time, like they're picking up other $60 games that probably aren't nearly as good,
Yeah.
So,
Samus Returns launched at like $30 or $40, right?
Yeah.
So so if we compare it to that, sure, but that is a remake.
Yeah.
And
This,
I don't
of
know.
course, is a brand new game, right?
yeah, I feel like I've paid more for less.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I feel like there's this like bias where if it doesn't look like one of those like AAA games like Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that, like if you originally like if it's like a 2D game, you automatically think like it's like a $20-$30 range type game, despite the amount of content you're getting. Like say if you take like a game like Cuphead or like Hollow Knight, for example, it would, just because of what the visual looks like, it feels like people feel like it should be worth a lower price point as opposed to a Call of Duty that might not even have as much content, but because it's got a 3D engine and it looks like what it looks like, people are like, oh yeah, I'll pay $60 for this, but I'll pay $20 for Ori and the Blind Forest or something,
Yeah.
I think it's
3D might not even think it's that great either. Like
exactly.
it's just the fact that it's 3D,
Yeah.
So
I think what's exciting about Metroid Dread from Nintendo, though, is that Nintendo is not one to redo what's already been done. And there's been a lot of Metroidvanias over the year. And I think that's what kind of limits them from pumping these out, which they probably could. I mean, and people might buy them, but they held off until now.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think that maybe once again Nintendo will raise the bar of a genre, introduce new mechanics, which will then help other indies kind of get that light bulb effect. Oh crap, I could do this with the genre, and just kind of excel it, try and evolve it for new generations. So I'm excited about that. Although with that said, I do think that Nintendo is one to put a cap on things like what they did with Mario Maker. They'll probably never make another 2D Mario because they put out this Mario Maker, and that's like every 2D game right there, and people can just make the courses that they want. Exactly. So I think they'll probably just put this out, and then we won't see another 2D Metroid again.
You think they make like a Metroidvania Maker?
Yeah, they might. Yeah.
Nintendo makes the
honestly, I'm pretty stoked for a Metroidvania.
That would be
Maker,
actually really cool. But they do kind of act like it's the final chapter and maybe of this kind of gameplay too. So it'll be interesting to see. I love that mechanic, like the constantly being chased. I mean, we saw a little bit of that in Fusion, but it's just like knocked up to 11 here with just like running into another room and it's still following you. And it'll be interesting to see.
It's different because it is a dark game and they just have Dread in the title. Like this is Nintendo who just put out Origami King, and here they are like this scary ass action game. There is a large group of gamers who have not seen this side of Nintendo. It's pretty exciting.
I don't know if that's true. I think there's a huge portion of the Nintendo fan base who love it when they go dark. Like those.
I'm talking about like 12, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. Like when I first saw.
Do they even play video games?
Or they only know Mario as like Nintendo.
They only know TikToks about Ted Kaczynski. That's what kids are doing these days.
I guess they would have to put Metroid in Fortnite, and then they'll know what Metroid or Samus in Fortnite, and then they'll know.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
definitely
actually.
Is it like it's a girl?
It's just a totally different experience.
Samus is now non-binary.
It's 2001, Brian. Get your shit
we're woke
together.
now, especially
2021.
Oh, sorry.
Ian, were you gonna say something?
No, it is weird though, because I think there is like people know of Metroid and they know of Samus, but maybe like that younger crowd, they haven't quite experienced a game, either Prime or these 2D games, but they're familiar with like Nintendo third party being darker, but not really directly from Nintendo. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. That is interesting. I wonder what a younger person's take on that would be. And the fact that it was like a big part of the show, it wasn't like, oh, this is one of the things we're doing. It was like one of the highlights of the show from Nintendo. That's a little unusual.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 3 came out more than 13 years ago at this point. So I'm not certain what the last entry point was for Dark Nintendo. The other thing I was going to say is this developer, Mercury Steam. Oh, I guess you referenced Samus Returns. Was that well received? Because otherwise their catalog is kind of like nonsense, like, Clive Barker's Jericho and Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow is the good Lords of Shadow. The second one, not so good, but the first one, pretty good.
Okay. But that was like the 3D.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you said Samus Returns was good, so you're not concerned about the developer at all. Okay.
I hope we see more Dark Nintendo. Like, I hope this is like
that said,
leaning into it, right?
Well, with that said, Nintendo is the only first party that seems to be taking any chances right now. They put out Famicom Detective Club just in May, 2 visual novel adventure games about doing detective crap. What fucking first party publisher would do that? You would not see. I mean, you have Sony over here putting out Returnal from the devs of Alien Nation, and it's like Nintendo's on the other end of the spectrum putting out detective visual novels.
Yeah, Nintendo's played that role for a while.
Nintendo, like, I feel like they're more willing to try to mess around with things. I mean, you can tell from like their consoles and things like that. That's a huge respect.
I love it. I respect it.
I think that's like a big, like, what I love about Nintendo is that they're willing to push the boundaries and stuff. And it's kind of straying from the whole corporate, like, general consensus of what people want. But I also think there's a place for both, people like it, so there's a reason to make it.
But it is weird when I think about it more and more, like what you guys are saying, that kind of the whole tone was a little bit darker, because also the Tekken reveal and Smash. I mean, he's throwing people.
Oh, I love it.
So, I mean,
so good.
This was a different feel for Nintendo than like even what I'm used to, I think. But I think that's cool. I mean, I think you can do everything. They have that, and then they have Mario Party, which is like the most wholesome of wholesome, except the competition. But I mean, the actual aesthetic and stuff.
I feel like I've gotten in more fights over Mario Party than I have during Call of Duty.
I feel like if Nintendo ever wants to get to the point where they like get serious and like release one of those like 4K type consoles, I think they can really do a good job.
I think that's where Zelda kind of leans into. Breath of the Wild is arguably a nice, beautiful looking game.
Like if that game was on a PS4, no one would blink an eye, because they're like, that's good.
Like, games like Twilight Princess pushed that realism, and I know people were skeptical when seeing like, oh, this like looks like a real Link, but that's a really good game. They're not afraid to mess around with their IPs and try new things, and a lot of other first party publishers are scared to touch their stuff like that, except for when they put out that Gears Pop. Microsoft put out the Gears Pop game that just got recently shut down. It's like Pop figures, but for Gears of War, and it was a mobile game. And it just got shut down because I
don't know if mobile game is ever like a wow, what a risk! Like a mobile game in my head.
Let's see how we can monetize this.
That Diablo announcement.
I think like the only mobile game that I feel like people take seriously is like Genshin Impact, because it's like crossplay with the actual game. And then people are like, okay, this is like a legitimate game on mobile.
Or PUBG,
other than that, it's like always some form of like a gambling game for mobile, but reskin to be like Nintendo or some sort of anime gacha.
No, there was some traditional Nintendo announcements as well, though. You guys just mentioned Mario Party. I don't know if there's more to say about that other than another Mario Party.
The Mario Party.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the level select or the board selection? Do you think that's enough?
That's like they have a lot of the classic boards coming back, correct?
Mm-hmm. I think it's 5 of the Nintendo 64 boards.
I think that's fine. I mean,
yeah.
I think only because the last time I played those was so long ago, and replaying them again and having them available to play with younger audiences, like kids, which is I guess I'm supposed to play with kids more with this game.
That is not what the court said.
Nah.
No, I can play with kids now, right?
We don't condone that.
No.
But yeah, so I mean, it's good for them to be able to be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Let's play together. I think it's fun.
Well, that makes me think of like, because they're doing these like throwbacks to the other boards, why not just make like a complete edition or like include them as DLCs? Because we have so many Mario parties now. Why not just
that's the evergreen suggestion for Mario Party and Mario Kart, right? Like, just release one that has everything in it, and they're like, no.
Right? Yeah.
They did it with Smash.
Make as much money,
They did it with Smash, but I'm hoping that this is the last Smash Brothers ever.
Not a Smash fan. You think Eddie Gordo is going to come out of that volcano and just kick it away?
I will say, it's not that I don't mind Smash, but they put in so much work to this, or just like time, I should say, too. But like, maybe just give it a rest. And then if you do release one in the future, it'll be a big deal then. But I think if you did release another Smash so soon.
Yeah.
Well, even if you charge the full amount of a full game for a DLC, if it warrants the amount of content you get, I'd still pay it. If you got a Mario Party and you said, hey, we're releasing all the Mario Party maps on one Mario Party game for the same cost of a regular game, I'd still pay it because that's a great value and a great deal.
People were mad about the $20 price of intermission for the Final Fantasy VII remake game. That the DLC was $20 on top of the PS5 version of the game. And because it's only about 4 hours long. So, I mean, they were already complaining about that, but I was like, fuck, I would pay $30 for this because it was so good, stuff like that. So I'm with you.
Well, now we're in the age-old tradition where Nintendo announces all the franchises that are continuing, and it's like, but where's Star Fox? Right? Right. And you announce all of them in the same show, right? There was some other new stuff, though. Brian, you mentioned Tinyken. As one that sort of stuck out to you.
Yeah, it just looked really good. And I feel like Pikmin was one of those things that like kind of people sleep on as a game. And this is kind of feels like a spiritual successor to that type of game. And just like the art style, the mechanics that I saw in the trailer, it just looked really good. And I think we were talking about kind of like how Nintendo does some stuff and it kind of sets a precedence of like a light bulb effect for indie developers to be like, that's really cool. Let's play on that. And we were talking about how Castlevania, if this is like the last 2D Castlevania, it's going to be on indie developers to continue giving fans and players that type of experience moving forward. Because of the big companies are like, hey, we're done. We're not going to do this. The torch passes on to new developers to expand on that idea.
I think Tinyken borrows more from Nintendo than just like Pikmin. It's like has some like Paper Mario in there.
Yeah, the art style is bizarre.
It looks really good.
It's like a traditional 3D environment. I'm not certain what to compare that to, but then like it has a very cartoonish
2D
like
paper sort of thing. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Don't Starve type animations a little bit. Looked really cool.
That's a better comparison. I was thinking about I was going to struggle to reference this like PC game from the early 2000s of like, it's called Nightmares or something. I don't know. But yeah, Don't Starve, very similar movement and animation to Tinyken.
I like it. It's being published by Tiny Build Games, who does Hello Neighbor, and they just keep.
Yeah.
God, guys, come up with another adjective. You know?
So Hello Neighbor pays the bills, and they have the room to just like do all this, publish cool games like this. Because I promise you, not all Tiny Build games are this good looking.
Have the word
Back the game if you think it's at least all right for indie developers, so that they can make some weird shit in the future, people. Yeah. Okay, it's not like 100% banger, 75% okay game. Try to back the indie developers. They might surprise you.
That's a good percentage there. Yeah.
If it's like enough to warrant the $20 that they're asking for, just do it.
Yeah.
Were there any other standouts from Nintendo E3?
Advance Wars
remake.
Oh my God. Not one, but two. Advance Wars remake. Advance Wars to me is this crazy ass game that I didn't know what it was when I first played it. I think I was probably like maybe 13 years old, 12 years old. I just thought it was an RPG by the screenshots of a magazine. And it blew my mind as this tactical war kind of anime cute looking thing, and I just fell in love with it. And it's so funny because I never played the second one. I didn't even know there was a second one for the longest time.
If I remember correctly, the second one is like significantly darker, right? Or
I'm not sure.
The third one.
I'm not sure. I didn't follow it after the first one. It just kind of fell off my radar. I became a PlayStation fanboy.
I believe the story of Advance Wars is that there was a lot of time between some of the games, and then they released one that was like dark, and everyone was like, okay, enough. But I may be misremembering that.
Yeah, I feel like the appeal of Advance Wars was, one, it was kind of like cartoony, so you didn't feel as bad about being like a war game.
Going to war.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a really competent, like tactical game.
Yeah.
To where you didn't feel like it was just like for little babies type tactical game. It had a lot of depth to it.
My concern, I know Advance Wars is compared to Fire Emblem in some ways. I don't think it has like the hero dynamic or permadeath or anything.
No.
But I played Three Houses when that came out, and I thought it was kind of a little stupid easy. So I guess my concern with another game in that genre is that they may make it a little too goddamn easy.
I think with remakes nowadays, they just put the difficulty slider in there and call it a day. They're like, this is the classic, and now you have the original mode, or but they'll call like the new word for easy is classic mode, right? And then they do original mode, which is like the original mode. It's really strange how they're like how they
so you can pat yourself on the back for certain
playing basketball with an invisible ball, and
I'm not somebody to say that games are getting too easy or anything like that, but that game in particular, like I felt like I wasn't even making decisions, and I think that was a widespread experience for a lot of people. That even if you jacked up the difficulty, it was just kind of like, I mean, if you've played one of these games before, you kind of know what's going to happen.
Oh, for Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
And that might have just been a thing that because that game is so widely appealing to so many different people. It might have just been like, okay, this is one game that we need to make as accessible as possible, because a large focus of Fire Emblem is the story and the characters. So people spend a little time in the battle system, but then they go and they just want to ship all the students. And I know you didn't get any of that, Arthur, because that's not the type of gamer you are. But just give me in a battle already. I just want to fight. Why are these people bleeding? Why is my immersion broken on the battlefield?
Did I confide to you, Azario, that I've gotten to the point that when I start a game, I just skip the cutscenes immediately?
I just imagine you seeing one anime character and just being like,
no. "Oh God!" No. I mean, I like,
and then you go to just. I'd rather play Civ 4.
Yeah, that's the one. That classic
You
2004
call up your
release.
friends and play Risk or something. I don't know what you nerds do.
Access
Nah,
to
Risk
lies.
is how you make it's how you get rid of your friends. That's what Risk is.
I do like Persona a lot. And I my interest in Three Houses was because of the sort of similar, like, talk to your friends and build relationships or whatever, but a little too slow, gotta say. And to update everyone, the last Advance Wars game was Advance Wars Days of Ruin, which was post-apocalypse, was released in 2008. And
Wow.
I guess for whatever reason, that sort of killed the franchise. Not that it was a bad game. Apparently it was received quite well, but they
What year? The Advance Wars was a Game Boy Advance launch title, right?
Yeah, like Advance Wars was like kind of one of the first
2001.
games that I played. In general.
That's insane.
Yeah, and when
Because
they, like, announced
because
it
I
at
remember-
E3, I was like, "What?"
I remember getting it with my purple Game Boy Advance, and like, I was just like that. Just thinking about time, crazy.
Yeah, well, the last Advance Wars came out when George Bush was president. In case
Now people can enjoy it all over again, which I think I'm also very excited for. You know, these throwback games that, hey, let's bring it back. Let's get people to play with.
Nobody likes the present day anyway, so we all want to return to the past. Return with a V. That's the theme.
That's why they're making more Ratchet and Clanks, more Crash Bandicoots. You know.
Well, if we're done with E3 Nintendo, thing okay,
Yeah,
fine. I had
mentioned
a segue.
before.
It's sitting there. Go ahead.
I've mentioned this before. Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Blackwater, coming to all platforms. Nintendo put it in their event, and you just see the spirits, the haunting of this beautiful game that was robbed in its Western release, and now it comes back with a vengeance.
Azaria
Bathing suit DLC.
that one in his backyard. He just had like a little camera in the background.
Okay, I
I
do have to give some backup to this story because I was typing up the article while we were watching the direct, and and I said, "Oh, isn't that the one with the bathing suit DLC?" And Rosario goes, "They took it out." I was like, oh, "Okay, yeah." So there is a passionate man here, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
They did put in like Samus outfit and a Zelda outfit.
Which Fatal Frame is this?
Maiden of the Blackwater.
Okay.
It didn't get a physical release in the West, which sucked because if you had a Wii U without a storage in it, you had to pretty much delete everything for the digital game to fit on your Wii U.
Well, pretty much anything that got released on the Wii U deserves to get re-released somewhere else.
just a mulligan on the Wii U altogether, please.
There's some decent games on that console that
there are. Yeah.
It's because the Switch essentially was what the Wii U should have been. So they should just toss everything over.
I believe that is their worst selling console, right?
Yeah.
So,
but this is my game of the show.
The Fatal Frame one, even without the bathing suit DLC.
Oh, the bathing suits are coming back, my friend.
Oh, they're coming back. No wonder you're excited.
Well, we don't know for sure, but it is coming to PC, so at least someone will bring it back.
Someone will make it. Possible. Yeah.
And on top of that, they did say that new costumes were going to be available. And all I really want is a physical release. I just want to own that goddamn game. I have 1, 2, and 3 on PS2. I have the stupid Spirit camera on DS.
It's got to hit his bookshelf in the background. It's got to get on there.
I want to check in. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was kind of curious because you know how the Wii U is set up, right? With that screen, and then you have I am wondering how that will translate to Switch. And if they were probably just the screen will flash and then maybe it's a gyroscope kind of
2 words. 6-axis.
Yeah,
that's actually one word, Rosario. If you pay attention to the copyright,
you would like how a lot of Switch games you can like link your phone to it and stuff. Maybe you'll use your phone as the camera, and then the game will actually like be on.
You're asking a lot from Koei Tecmo right
now. You know what? I would hate that.
It's a big maybe. It's a big maybe.
For most other games, I would hate that, but for something that is kind of like haunted and like dealing with like phones, and I think that's like a very much like fits in with that genre, that would actually be cool. But
yeah.
If Just Dance can do it, Fatal Frame can do it, Azario. Okay?
You're right. I still think you're asking a lot from Koei Tecmo.
Lubu coming to Fatal Frame.
Dynasty Warriors DLC.
But that's my game of the show. Now, segue away.
We good? I was going to say there are some games you can return to, but one game you will not be able to return to is Grand Theft Auto Online for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Later this year, November 16th, 2021, they're going to be shutting down the servers for that. I think we talked about GTA Online in passing in the past in reference to how none of us play it and we don't know anyone who plays it.
And so we're going to talk about it again.
I feel like we almost have talked about it, though, every podcast somehow, just because it's come up. But yeah,
it's just an enigma to us. We don't know anything about it.
The idea that it lasted this long on those servers and they kept them up. Good on you, Rockstar One, but I'm just amazed that that's still running. Like, people are still playing 360 and PS3s out there. So this is a big deal for them, and I feel bad.
Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, I think GTA Online had a lot of international success, and I know prior consoles, like previous gen consoles, when they have continued success, it's usually because they're having a second life in like Eastern Europe and like Southeast Asia. Yeah,
makes sense.
Brazil had the last PS2 game released in like 2014 or something like that. It was like a FIFA game or something. So
a money laundering simulator.
Yeah, I don't.
That was a FIFA joke, by the way. That was not a Brazil joke. Okay. I just want to.
I got you. Don't worry.
I have to cut this out? Do I have to? Am I gonna have to censor this show now? I thought for sure I would be the first one.
No, FIFA is gambling the game.
Yeah,
it's been that way for the past couple of games.
Yeah,
so I do
identity theft.
I mean, it does suck for the people who experience this, but I think it more in lines with. At some point, we're all going to have to accept this server being shut down in some ways. And I think that makes me scared to play online games on console, where PC, people still play Warcraft 3, you know, like.
Or you'll get like a fan to try to remake a classic.
Yeah, people fucking play Toontown. Some guy built this fucking Toontown server.
Yeah, like, my friend is like all about Toontown.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird. But I know some people who play it too, and at least on PC that's available. On console, it's just kind of scary. You know, it's like a weird investment. Because you do put money into it, you know, like they are buying something if they're playing this long.
Or news conversations.
Like emulators and stuff. I feel like they can. It has the potential to still make its second cycle in PC. You know, if the fan base is big enough for it, if there's a will, there's a way. Someone will do it.
Yeah, that's why I'm more eager to play on my online games on PC, where I feel like it's gonna survive somehow.
Yeah, the game companies just have to be cool. Okay, if the fans wanted to make it. Let it happen.
Just be
dicks about it.
Nintendo, stop with your cease and desist.
Either make it yourself or let us have something nice, okay? Don't mess it up for us.
Sorry that we like your intellectual property. Also, LA Noire and Max Payne 3 have online services that will also be shut down. I don't really remember what those are.
Yeah, I don't recall online LA Noire.
I think LA Noire could have only showed you what choices the other people made, maybe.
Like a Telltale game style.
Yeah. That's all.
Max Payne may have had something similar, like number of bullets shot or something like that.
Yeah,
but I know LA Noire is also on like PC, isn't it? So is that still
Switch
gonna
too?
Be? Yeah. Is that still?
Oh yeah, they're going to support it on. They're going to support it everywhere else. Just for PS3 and 360.
Yeah, the news is for specifically Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and that's it.
Is it? Would you say that those consoles are done? Like, is it over? Like,
honestly, I skipped those consoles altogether. I never touched one.
What?
Really?
Yeah,
that's incredible. You jumped on the PC train early.
Because like the PS3 came out and it was like lucratively like crazy expensive for what it was.
$599 US.
And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I'll wait. And then
you were not the Sony
by
fan.
The time I was like, yeah, I'll just get a PS4. Oh, I'm cool. I skipped the PS3. We'll get the PS4.
I had the reverse experience. I think that generation of consoles is the last console gen I really paid attention to. Like, I had a PS4, but it kind of just sat there for the most part.
I think it's interesting because the PS4 was not backwards compatible. So it was kind of tough to go back to your PS3 games And I think my PS3 is the least console I played the most.
Least console I played the most.
The console I played the least.
The least. There we go. Our editor-in-chief, ladies and gentlemen.
This has mild dyslexia. But it's just a hero.
Yeah.
That makes me a hero.
Yeah, exactly. Like champion, dude. Look at it. If he can do it, you can do it.
You can too.
PS3 definitely a bummer console in the grand scheme of things, but
it sucks because like I mean people played the 360, people play the PS3. I just feel like I didn't want to say goodbye to them, but this kind of news that comes up is like, fuck, like when is the last time I even played PS3? You know, like I can't remember 8 years, 7 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. Like I saw the announcement, I was like, that's a bummer, but who's actually super invested in a PS3 and Xbox 360?
Yeah, I actually remember what was a late stage release for PlayStation 3.
It's funny though, because until that perception of what you guys said, my idea was like, oh, PS3 did really well. And I played that. I mean, I still play almost all consoles like here and now, but yeah, it's interesting because you don't really hear much about that generation, but yeah.
Oh, we don't talk fondly about it. We talk.
The only thing I know about the PS3 is it had a shitty Spider-Man game, and that's all I know about the PS3.
Yeah, like
it was expensive. Had a shitty Spider-Man game.
Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3 on the PS3 was garbage. It was expensive when it released because it was $500, and that's all I know about the PS3.
We'll say good things about the Vita, about the PSP. We'll say good things about old Nintendo consoles, but we never say good things about the PS3.
It's the redheaded stepchild of Sony. It really is.
Had some good Uncharted games.
Yeah, it kicked off Uncharted. Metal Gear Solid 4 was a big game when it came out. Of course, Demon Souls, the Soulsborne series originated.
But all those Uncharted games came out to PS4. So
yeah, I think it's
PS3 at that point.
I think that's what allowed us to forget about it so easily is that they just remade all of these games again. I mean, Last of Us was a PS3 game.
Right.
Yeah,
also true.
That's right.
Like it's like Sony knew like the PS3 was like, okay, we didn't really do so hot, so they mulliganed it into the PS4, and nobody remembers that it was a PS3 thing.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this list of PS3 releases sequentially, and I think the last PS3 game I played was Beyond Two Souls, which I only remember because I replayed it last year.
You know who's in that game? Willem Dafoe.
Okay. I was like, dude, what joke are you going to make here?
Where are we going to go? Oh,
that's a fun fact, though. I did not know that Willem Dafoe was in that game.
Well, he was mispronouncing the character's name last week.
Oh, yeah. You tuned in.
Yeah. You gave me like anxiety.
I could have ruined this podcast real quick.
Okay, so let's move on. One thing that's coming back to PlayStation is Cyberpunk 2077, which has been re-added to the PlayStation Store after it was removed in December due to it being basically broken for that console. A lot of reports of just crashes to a black screen. Some people couldn't even boot the game at all. And they were doing a bunch of returns. There's a whole hot potato of people messaging CD Projekt saying we want to return, and they said Sony can figure that out for you. So Sony said we're just going to take the game down because we definitely don't do returns. So I guess it's back now. I'm not aware of if there has been a major patch in like the past month or so. Or if
there's been a couple patches.
I know there's been a few, but what I remember is that the bigger one that they kept talking about was delayed because there was a security breach at the company that delayed a lot of that progress.
I think it's important to note too is that this is just the PS4 version, not the PS5 version. They say that it's compatible with PS5, but you can't go on the PS5 PSN to buy the PS5 version. This is just the PS4.
So you're buying the PS4 version to play on it.
And then there's you'll get a free upgrade in August. They're going to unlock a free upgrade for it. And then you could just upgrade your PS4 version to PS5. So it still sucks. Like they know the game still sucks. It's just fucking incredible, you guys, how all these fucking nerds are like, Cyberpunk best game in the world. Look at it, you can fuck this person and you can fuck this person and I can kill him. Size. I could make my dick really big. You know, and it's like,
can't make it that big.
The game
bigger than mine.
the game launches and it fucking sucks. Yeah. Years of being years of being a nerd just shoved in your face, like of being an asshole on Reddit and just all across the internet just blew up on you. And I just wanted to see like the reaction of all of these fucking nerdy ass gamers realizing it's like if you have a kid and you're teaching him something or her and she's not getting it and like you realize that she's stupid or she is stupid, but you don't want to say it. And like you could just tell in your face, like, fuck, like my kid is going to fucking be average for the rest of my fucking life. And you don't say it out loud, but your face says it all. And I just wanted to see their fucking face when they realize, fuck, this game sucks, you know, but they won't say it out loud. They'll still defend it.
They won't admit it. They won't admit it.
Just like if your kid's average.
I have not run into that many Cyberpunk fanatics, I have to say. I think the combination of the game, like the flaws of the game are not necessarily the design. It's just that it's technically a mess, which is something that I think is a bit of a unifier for most people. I mean, some people say I never had any problems, but beyond that, I think people know that was the real problem. They may be more hesitant to say that the game itself is also just bad, or maybe not bad, but the few hours that I played, I wasn't super impressed, and I was a big Witcher fan.
Is the game at least like okay now? Now that they're like Sony's like, yeah, we'll put it back on the store. Like, is it okay now on PlayStation?
On PC
for noise.
I mean, PC obviously is a given. Like, even if the company fucks up, somebody's gonna fix the game for you on PC. That's a given. You know, you can patch it yourself. That's fine. But like Sony, they're putting it back on the PSN. Is it at least okay now? You know, like a B? Is it a B?
It's not a B. Video game terms? It's definitely a C.
A C plus?
C minus.
C. Oh shit.
Ian, were you saying you had some experience with it?
Well, not with the PlayStation, but because I was the one that Azario gave it to me for PC, and I think because I didn't really have these expectations going into it, and I do love Cyberpunk stuff in general. Mm-hmm. So, you know, maybe that kind of endeared me a little bit. What really sucks though is like you could tell that there were some aspects as far as like art design and all these things that people tried so hard, and you know they spent so much time going into it, but then it's just ruined by like you know, somebody walking through a car and like
where it like clips a little.
Yeah, just like unexcusable stuff in other games. And I mean, that was my experience even on PC. So I can't imagine how it would even run on PlayStation 4. I have no idea how that would work.
Kind of a bummer.
You generally liked the game though, right?
I did enjoy the game. It's not like a game changer, in my opinion, but I did have fun with the game. But I do try to keep in mind that I am biased because I like that I love that genre. The game's okay. I didn't know that a lot of people were like expecting this to be like a huge like cultural thing though, that just didn't really happen.
Right. The end all be all.
Well, I think it's because people were waiting so long for it, you know, that they expected it to be near flawless when it came out. Yeah. And to have it be as buggy as it was when it came out, despite how long it took to make the game, was unexcusable.
Yeah, and the reputation of The Witcher 3 just became larger and larger over time. So I think that really contributed to it. Yeah. I was going to say, I bought the game the week of, and I got 3 hours in and held off because I know even with Witcher 3, people who may not know if they didn't get it when it first came out, like the movement for the character was totally different for like the first 6 or 7 months. And they released a patch that now you can set it to alternate movement, which is actually the default now. But you can still experience the original movement if you change one of the sliders in the menu, and it's worse. It was not as good when it was like that. And I remember when I was playing Cyberpunk, one thing that stuck out was if you're like looking around in the world, if you want to interact with an object like a radio, that's in the bottom middle of the screen. If you want to pick up an item, that's like the bottom right of the screen. And if it's a lore item, it's in the bottom left. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait until they move all these prompts to the same section of the screen, because I'm not going to be dancing my eyes all over the UI. And it seemed like it had like a bunch of those little things. And my understanding is that they're actually kind of, maybe not that one specifically, but they're aware of those issues. But that big patch, just making the usability better, has been delayed because of the other problems they're having at the studio.
Yeah.
But available on PlayStation 4 now.
Give it a shot. Let us know if people have played it since it's came back out on the PS4. Let us know. Is it all right now?
Yeah, let me know if I should boot it up again.
Yeah,
or
is
if
it
I
worth
can leave
it?
it uninstalled.
I haven't touched the game, so let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was sad though, because like you could tell that like a lot of work that like could have been potentially a lot better, that somebody just was like, oh, this is done. It's like, no, that's
It
not
ain't though.
done at all. Like, so I can't imagine the rage that people at the company are feeling, because
like I don't want to get mad at the people making the game. Like they're putting the time in. Honestly. They're trying really hard.
Exactly.
There's just a lot of BS that goes into making a video game that ends up making it be shitty when it comes out. So you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Oh, that's the other element.
Don't blame the artists on the game.
They went and attacked
that's a whole other department altogether,
They started attacking the director, the artists. They started attacking the play testers. Like anyone they could get a hold of, they started blaming it on. And I'm like,
well, the shareholders are literally suing the creative direction.
Garbage, just don't buy it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the news right now. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some games we've been playing. So stay tuned. Okay.
I hate cups like that.
This one?
Ones? Yeah. The reusable like Starbucks.
Yeah, cups? Just like the cups at the top and the straw.
Why do you hate them so much, Azaria?
It's just so obnoxious.
You hate the environment, Azaria?
No, it's just
turtles.
He could just have a normal cup. He's sitting in it.
This one keeps it cold.
He paid good money for that tumbler. Okay,
and it's 24 ounces. I had another red one that you'll see in the previous episodes, but I had a party and some drunk dude knocked it out of my hand and broke in half.
I kickstarted a boba cup that's reusable, like one of those with a boba straw.
Damn.
You're so ridiculous.
Man, I would take a boba straw just everywhere.
It's pretty great. You can like bring it to a boba shop and
you just get more drink.
Yeah. Welcome back, folks, to the Noisy Pixel Podcast. We're going to talk about some video games we've been playing. We're going to start with Brian this week. You're playing a game that came out hours ago, or I guess by the time people hear this, it came out yesterday. But
I mean, technically, it's still early access. So the game is Phantom Abyss, published by Devolver Digital, and I think as of like 4 p.m. PST, it came out early access for people to get for I think $20.
And we did talk about this game a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so they showed it at E3. And what it is, the best I can compare it to is if you combine Temple Run with Mirror's Edge, that's pretty much what you're playing. Where it's like a first-person parkour type game, but you're going through these kind of like Indiana Jonesy type temples with traps and things.
Yeah. The Steam review refers to it as Indiana Jones if he had more realistic luck.
Makes sense. But yeah, I've played maybe like an hour of it so far, and I've been having a really good time with it. There are still some features that aren't in the game yet, such as like multiplayer co-op. I think they're working on adding, because so far it's mainly a single player game, but you can see the ghost Dark Souls styles of people like that died doing the same run in the temple as you.
Yeah. What you mean by temple run is it's first person. You have to get to the end of a temple or like a level.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you can see other people attempting to do the same thing as you. And there's a very high death rate, right?
Mm-hmm. So it's like you have RNG temples, and every temple can only ever be completed once ever. So as soon as someone finishes it, no one can ever do that seed again.
If you die, do you get to do it again?
No, you don't.
So so that's another thing.
Yeah. So if you die, what you can do is if you've collected like certain relics on the way of your run, they'll give you a code you can send to your friends to have them do the run to try to grab your stuff for you as like a reward. And for the most part, the game plays out where you're just running first person through this temple, but there's a lot of different traps like arrows that shoot out, the spike traps that shoot up, whirling blades, things like that. And there's treasure chests you can get with like that contain coins along the way. And it plays a little bit like a roguelike because once you collect those coins each run, you can spend them at certain shrines to get game mechanics, such as either like getting an extra heart. So you get like 3 lives when you're playing the game. Every time you get hit by a trap, you lose a heart or something. But you can gain hearts back. But other stuff such as like getting a double jump mechanic, you can pay for if you collect enough coins, or a slow fall because you can take fall damage if you fall from too high.
And how do you get coins again?
So there's just like chests scattered throughout the temple that you can kind of like jump around. Because it's not like time-based, really. You can take your time with it. You just know that if someone finishes that temple's no longer going to be available.
It looks like there's a little bit of momentum that goes with the game too. So I think going fast is like the idea. Like just the jumps in general, kind of you jump with the idea in your head that you're going to get to the next cliff, so that you can use your whip to pull you up to a new height. But you can also buy new whips, I suppose. And
yeah, so there's definitely like, because I think from what I understand, you get like a basic whip. I haven't gone far enough to where you can unlock more stuff, but I feel like it's a toss up between speed running it and trying to clear the temple and like taking your time trying to find those like chests and things that are hidden around. Because I think the only there's only like 2 time factors really. One is that you hope somebody doesn't clear the seed before you finish doing the run. And then the other option is there's like these temple guardians that spawn and they attack you if you take too long in the game. And
more indirectly, you start with a bunch of ghosts alongside you. So you see a bunch of characters running at full speed.
Yeah. They don't really affect you when you're playing. It's mainly you can use them as like hints where like, oh, that guy went there and there's a treasure chest. Oh, I didn't notice that.
But if you're susceptible to peer pressure, you might be like, oh man, everyone's running faster than me. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, they're all going this direction. Oh, well, everyone died going this direction.
There's like a trap at the end of it.
I was a sheep. Yeah, exactly. But so far the game is a lot of fun. I'm excited to see them flesh it out more since it's still in early access.
I'm watching a stream and I have 2 questions. One, I saw some guy fall to quote his death, but he respawned and got to keep playing. So when you say you die,
so there's 3 hearts that you get. So if you fall to your death, it takes a heart away. Once you lose all 3 of your health points, that's when you die. You can't You can't do the temple anymore. So it's technically you get 3. There's chances for you to get hit throughout.
Yeah. That's pretty forgiving for a roguelike.
Exactly. Because there's certain traps where you're just like, oh, fuck that. I'm just going to take the hit. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
And there's the stream that I'm watching. It looks like the guy has 5 hearts. So is there like continuous skills that you can unlock?
Possibly. Yeah. Again, I've only played an hour of the game so far, so I haven't gotten too far ahead because I'm also not super good at it.
Yeah.
I haven't cleared a temple, if that tells you anything.
Right.
But
and the other thing, since you only played an hour, so I doubt you've run into this, but I feel like if you were continuously not being able to make progress, like, oh, I failed that and didn't get to finish. I failed that and didn't get to finish. At some point you would get tired of that, I would think, right?
I feel like you would. So for me playing that hour, I'm thinking to myself like, oh, if I never improve, this is just what my experience with the game is going to be like. Because you don't get those other type of roguelike elements where it's accumulative. You get money even after you've died and lost rounds to better your character progression. I don't see that because your coin resets to 0. So you're still stuck with the basic whip. So if you don't reach those milestones in the game, you're going to be stuck. I feel like that's going to be a pretty big problem in the game for people who lack a certain skill set.
But still in early access. So
definitely a chance for it to be improved, people to put some quality of life stuff in there for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds very cool. Looks like it's on sale until July 8th. So it's $20 right now.
I mean, I think it's worth it even in early access, not just because it's kind of fun. It's a fun
Yeah.
game.
I mean, I know there's a bunch of diehard Mirror Edge fans out there. So anything to suggest, like, please make another one.
Exactly. You're a little hungry for some parkour action, go for it. And you can play it multiple ways. You can play it like a puzzle solving Portal style where you try to avoid traps, or you can play it speedrun style Mirror's Edge where you just gun it and hope for the best.
Looking forward to its appearance at Awesome Games Done Quick.
Oh yeah, definitely. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to some other quote new games, which are really re-releases. Let's start with Azario. What have you been playing?
Arthur, I've been playing Legend of Mana. Arguably the best mana, but the most decisive. Like people.
Controversial.
Yeah, people don't. Mana fans don't really like it, and then random RPG fans don't really like it. But then there's like this subset, this group
in the middle.
Yeah,
you're playing a remake on what platform?
It's coming out on PS4, Switch, and PC.
It's coming out this Thursday, June 24th.
Yes, the review is probably live on the site if you're listening to this the day that we post. So go check out the review. But talking a little more on this series. As a remake, I think Square is doing a lot better with their recent remakes. Just because you look at Final Fantasy VII, or not remakes, sorry, remasters. You look at their recent, like they started with Secret of Mana, it seemed, and it was just like this total remake. And they used 3D models and they put all this budget into it, and people hated it. People didn't like it. And I liked it because it was fun. I mean, it was Secret of Mana, you know. It was a lot of fun, but people called it out for all these nuanced things, and it kind of, as a reviewer, it kind of hit me like I have to cut myself off from nostalgia on these reviews. I have to stop. I have to limit myself from the fact that I love these games, and it taught me a lot about how I approach these remastered releases. But when they did like Final Fantasy VII Remastered, they opted to remaster the character models. So they're
talking remaster. You're talking like a up-res of the PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah. Okay. Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. On PlayStation 1. So they redid the characters, but they left the pre-rendered backgrounds untouched. Mm-hmm. So it looks super weird with the nice looking characters standing on top of the pre-rendered backgrounds. Yeah. And they've been playing around with like how to approach remasters, it seems, for a while. They did the Saga games. They did Trials of Mana, which was a total remake of an unreleased Mana game in the West. But I think with this one, they nailed it. They redid all the background assets, so they're all in 1080p. Because this game also uses pre-rendered backgrounds, and they left the character models unchanged. So they're kind of pixelated, old school like PS1 style characters on this like really good looking background, and it has this almost Octopath Traveler like effect without so much of the depth, but it just looks really good. And I hope they approach remasters like this more. And I know it's probably harder because you need all the assets. I don't know if they went back and redid all of those backgrounds, and I doubt they did because there's a fuckload ton of them. Mm-hmm. But I do hope that they continue this trend, because I feel like they're going to do Saga Frontier 2 at some point, and that's a game that was made alongside Legend of Mana and shares the same development team. So I hope that they take ideas from this one and put it in there, because I just love how gorgeous the backgrounds look in this game, and how they didn't really do anything with the characters. They redid their avatars, the text boxes, everything's redone, but the game itself is fucking hard. Not in a battle sense, not in a difficulty. It's just confusing to navigate.
Are you referring to the difference between difficulty and inaccessibility?
It's
like a quality of life tuning sort of situation.
There's nothing difficult about not knowing where to go, right?
And to that argument, I beat this game when I was 12 years old. So I mean, it's that easy, but they don't hand it to you right in the beginning. You're given this little item that you go to the world map and you place on a map, and it turns into a little town, and right away you're thinking like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't even know who I am. Like, it barely explains that you're trying to recreate the world and using these mana stones that you discover to repopulate the world. But the world is already essentially there. It's just lacking mana after a war. It's convoluted and messy, but who cares about that? Because the story is more like, I'll walk into this town and you'll start talking to NPCs, and some of them will give you quests, but they don't actually tell. If you read where to go, they might join your party to go fight with you and be like, oh, come here and we'll fight this boss together. Or there's like a detective like thing, and there's a love story, and there's like this jewel thief quest. There's like over 70 quests that you can go on. But alongside those quests, there's like a golem mini game. There's a crafting section. There's a fucking chocobo farm. I mean, you can get a chocobo, a pet farm. Sorry. And then there's a tree where you can grow a garden. There's just all this like random shit that make it that you can make this game your own. And they don't really do that in RPGs more. You're sent on this linear path. This is super non-linear to the point where there's 3 major quest lines on top of the 70 that you can do, but you only need to complete one of them to then go to the mana tree to then beat the game.
I'm sorry, did you say there are 3 you can do out of 70?
Well, there's 3 major quest lines out of the 70 that you can acquire throughout the game.
Okay, there's 70.
You're going to be doing.
There's 3 that'll give you the conclusion.
Yeah, at some point
67 that are like whatever the fuck you want to do.
Okay. Yeah, but none of those 3 are like have anything to do with you. You're just like there, watching these events play out. Of like, there's like this dragoon. I could talk about this game a lot, but
you're a begrudging Link in a world that's just upon you.
I just think it's amazing. I'm very curious to see how someone who's not a fan of this game approaches this game, because when you put out the first town, it doesn't say I know to go up and go talk to Tipo, but would Ian know to walk up to talk to Tipo and then answer the questions right so you get the first quest? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe
you're getting a little bit of the good and bad of older game design, where it was more open and free flowing, but also a lot of I don't know what to be doing. Right.
But incidentally, this is the only mana that does that. All the other manas are pretty linear. You're
dummies. Is that what you're saying?
I just think they were like the Saga team who does like these super non-linear D&D style games. We're just hanging out with the Mana team for way too long, and they created Saga Frontier 2 and Legend of Mana, and then these two super non-linear games just popped out of it. But
you said you've been suspending your nostalgia for it, though. So would you say overall you've been enjoying it more or less?
For this time, I do think that the direction of the game is a pretty bad hindrance, but they did include like the 2-player mode. They do have, you can turn battles off, and this is not a grindy game. You don't need to pay attention to your weapons. You don't need to upgrade them if you don't want to. You can beat the final boss with very little experience. That's not the point of the game. The point of the game is to find these quests and like tell these stories and make your own adventure pretty much. There's like a lot of small nuances to it. Just like some quests won't unlock unless you're looking at them on a certain day and stuff like that. But if you talk to the people, they'll tell you what to do. You know, it's one of those games where you actually have to pay attention.
If you've never played it before, it may be difficult to jump right in. But if you're trying to revisit a childhood favorite, then it's pretty faithful, you'd say.
I wish I can remove all my memories from it and just approach it without... Because I find like even with Pokemon games, I get a Pokemon, I'll get a Pidgeotto, I'll get a Nidoran, I'll get a fucking Pikachu, and I'll Butterfree, whatever. I'll stick with those Pokemon to the Elite Four. Like, but I've played that way since I was 10 years old. You know, like it's never been different, and I can't. And even if I put that game up now, I will play it the same exact way.
You're like, I need one bird, I need one bug, I need one star.
There's no branching out for me. I am definitely just this like person who will play the exact same way every time, and then I'll be like, oh, I know this secret, you know, and I'll show somebody, but everyone knows it. I did. So with this game, it's like I'll play it the same way every single time, even though there's multiple ways to play it. But I know my favorite quests, and like there's like this there's like this sad love story where you can actually lock yourself out of it if you do them out of order, where this guy petrifies himself, and it's just. You can beat the game while this guy, like this Romeo and Juliet story, and this guy just dies. Like, it's not a human. It's like this.
Spoilers, Azario.
But I mean, they don't look. But that's not even the main quest. That is just one of the 70 that you can get. But I'm saying that they're all like that. They're all that type, and what you're connected to isn't necessarily what I'm connected to, because there's
some people be like, oh, I don't care about the main story, all these side ones, oh, I'm so invested. That's
not even one of the main quests that you need to beat. That's one that you could just do. Like I said, you can even lock yourself out of it where you don't save them, and it's pretty interesting. It's just a very weird JRPG, and I'm glad that more people can experience it.
Well, it sounds like you like it, despite all the qualifications. So
I do like it. It's confusing as fuck.
Yeah, growing pains for new people, but for fans,
if you're just
genre,
if you want to just invest yourself, I feel like people don't invest themselves. They want quick delivery. They want everything handed to them right away. They want the story beats, pace. Slow it down a little bit. You know, talk to the NPCs, see what they have to say. Explore. I feel like games nowadays, we lose that because we're always being rushed to the next area. We always want to see what's coming. This is not a game that you want to end. This is more of a game that you just want to discover for yourself.
To just wallow in a little bit. Yeah.
Like a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like it's a good quarantine game. I feel like that'd be a great quarantine game.
Yeah.
Well,
and the music is
unfortunately we're done with that. So
the music is the composer of Kingdom Hearts and Street Fighter. So if you like her music, she made all the music. It sounds like Kingdom Hearts too. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, sounds very cool. Mm-hmm. We're going to move on, though, to the last game that Ian's been playing. We did talk about it a little bit a few weeks ago, but now it's actually out. Why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
Yeah, so I've been playing Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX. It's a 35-year-old side-scroller that they basically remade, and they did the graphics in like this really cute animation style. It's really beautiful. But they did basically keep the same controls. Like, it doesn't feel like those have really been altered at all. So it does kind of have this age to it and this old school feel, kind of for better and for worse. Because it's a very solid game. But it is 35 years old, and it's, so it came out, I think, like a year after Super Mario Brothers. So I think that they were still trying to figure out how to do a side-scrolling adventure world kind of like that still. So it's really quirky and it's fun, but there are little cryptic elements that you wouldn't really see in a game nowadays. Like, you get to a certain level, and I was just stuck for a long time, and I was being really stubborn to look up anything because I knew it was an older game, and I was like, I know that they're the answers, but you eventually have to go up to these 3 panels and punch them in a certain random order. It's stuff like that that you would just never see now. And it was a fun game, and it's going to be, I think, people's alley that really love the old game. I would love to see them tackle a new Alex Kidd though in this style, and see what they could come up with the updated graphics and maybe fine tune that controls and physics a little bit.
If I remember correctly,
a more modern platformer.
Yeah, exactly. Because
sorry, I was going to say this is all visual, and if I remember correctly, you said that with this game you can actually swap between the old style and the new style on the fly, right?
Yeah, and that is a really cool aspect that you can do, and it's not exactly the original game that you can swap between, because they have made little tweaks here and there, especially with like NPCs and like characters you can come across, and they do add some new levels in. But it is in that visual style, and it is really cool to do that. And it was neat to compare as I went along, because sometimes you have this vibrant and beautiful background, and then you switch it and it's literally just blue. It's like, that's the background, is just a solid blue. And
I think that reinforces your point, though, that a lot of the original game is still there. Like they didn't really change it for 35 years of game design, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the little things that they did add, and they did add new levels, but it was kind of hard to tell, is this a new level? Is it, so, I think they maybe only added like 3 or 4 new levels. So, for people maybe that were looking for that, I don't know if they'll be necessarily impressed. I think it's going to be for a lot of old school gamers that really grew up on that game or have fond memories of the game. I think unless you're really into challenging platformers, and I should say that for a good while, it seemed like it would be kind of easy going, but man, it hits it pretty hard, especially like the last level. It's pretty rough. You can, again, with that scale we were talking about, you can put on infinite lives and make it a lot easier, and the game really a lot shorter. But that's where the padding comes from. Back then, they would pad it with challenge, and this game has that challenge. So yeah, and so if you did turn on the infinite lives, you would still even have some of that padding, but but if you played enough, I think you could finish it fairly quickly. So it was really fun, but there was just a little bit more that it's like, oh man, I wish I just for my own personal preference, it's like, man, I really I wanted to play a newer Alex Kidd game versus like a remake of this.
How much patience would you say you have for that generation of games, just like that older style with intense difficulty?
I feel like I feel like I have, just because I grew up with a lot of those games, that I have quite a bit of patience to the average player. Mm-hmm. But I am only a man, and I have my limits. And
I guess that's to say, if you're somebody listening to this that has no patience for that era of games,
maybe for you. Yeah, it's not going to be for you. If any of the Mario games are going to be like a challenge for you, like the 2D side scroller, it's like, and that like infuriates you, then like you should not pick up this game. But if you do like a challenge and you like the option of maybe making it easier in those handicaps, you're going to be fine. If you're an older school gamer or somebody that is looking for a little bit of a challenge, then it's going to be right up your alley for sure.
If you're a real gamer.
An OG gamer.
And that review is up on the site as well.
Yeah.
The game comes out by the time everyone's listening to this. So
watch the review first.
Yeah.
And stay on the website.
.net.
Stay on the website for at least 5 minutes.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, it counts the time, our bounce rate.
Really?
Yeah. Keep hitting some links. Keep diving
I say go there and click all the ads. I say this is somebody that has ad block and doesn't. I don't even know if there are any ads.
Open all of them as a tab.
Oh, there are ads.
Watch a YouTube video separate while those tabs just stay open.
If I open multiple tabs, like when I'm like making news story or putting together news stories, does that help you out? Is that what I should be doing?
Yeah.
Damn, man. All these little things.
Yourself a burrito. Boom.
Start your day. Turn on your computer. Yeah. Open a bunch of tabs. Go to work.
Make Noisy Pixel your homepage.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Just open it throughout the day.
Watch the Alex Kidd review like 10 times.
Yeah. Watch the ads. Click the ads while you're. Don't skip them.
Yep.
Like and subscribe. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's edition of the podcast. I was going to say I'm only playing Mass Effect, by the way, which continues to be good. I have
The first one's
solid.
I moved on to the second one.
Miranda's butt the game.
Miranda's butt is not in it, believe it or not. And I can't say I remember where it would be. I guess it was there like all the
It's
time.
like on her lower back.
all the time.
Where is the
before you
butts?
get to the thighs, after the stomach.
It's like the tree falling in the forest. Amanda's butt is there all the time.
Is it really there?
I will say, quick note, I was getting very tired of Mass Effect 1's dialogue by the end of that game, partly because I mentioned briefly previously that I actually replayed the whole series last year, so I was pretty familiar with Mass Effect 1, but there is definitely a creative decision that was made between the first game and the second game where they said these dialogue lines need to be shorter because the dialogue is just a lot quicker. Everything's like a sentence long. You're not just sitting there for 4 or 5 sequences of somebody talking. But it's still pretty great. Not much of an update. People know that already. Anyway, that's going to do it for the Noisy Pixel podcast for this week. If any listeners want to send in some questions, we still take questions. We appreciate all your comments on.
You should say that at the top of the show.
No,
Damn it.
We only reward people. You will only be
listen to
heard
the whole-
from if you are loyal.
I read all the comments. I don't comment on them. I have other people do that, but I read them all.
There is a
Read every
Brian
single one.
L. There's a Brian L. that comments on almost every video, and I
is
thought it
not
was
me.
you.
Oh, that's
me.
not you?
It's
That's some
not
other
him.
Brian.
Oh, okay.
It's
I was
another
gonna
Brian.
say,
Millions of us.
we got that comment, and I was like, oh wow, what a nice. Wait, that's just fucking Brian. He wasn't on the podcast.
Hey, Azariah, good job. Your hair looks really good today, Brian L.
Brian L's so nice.
Yeah, dude, gotta keep you guys, hyped up.
Yeah, we do read all the comments. If you have any questions for us, we can certainly take those questions at the end of the show. Or if you have any thoughts on the various things we talked about, love to hear from the listeners. But otherwise, you won't hear from us until next week. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Visit noisypixel.net. Anything else to plug, Azario?
No.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Noisy Pixel.